All right, everybody, it's Bob. I'm back again, and this time we're going to talk about EEK from Asylum Press, #1. But it does say it's a one shot. It's the Halloween special. Okay, since this is October, I've been wanting to do all these horror books since that's one of the things I love. So I do horror comics and I like fantasy adventure comics and stuff. So this one is EEK. Now, this one was printed in 2021, but if you look here, it says Rest in Peace 2011. And it's funny because I have another book that I'm going to do a review on that had stories from 2011 in it as well. And I wasn't aware of any horror comics that came out at that time. But I guess you can reuse it and resell it, and it's awesome because I get to benefit from it. But what we have here is, as it says here, there you are. I knew you would be back. Within these covers, you'll find three demonic tales of creeping fear. Welcome to Eek. So we have three tales here, which is awesome, and that's a thing that I really love. So, you guys, if you've seen my videos before, know that I'm constantly talking about how I like to get like a complete story out of a book. I'd like, you know, I don't mind reading something that's continuous if I'm brought up to speed or I can, catch on to it pretty quickly. But knowing that I can just pick up this floppy and get that enjoyment and it's done is something that I love. So let's go ahead and take a look at these stories. The first one is called The Green Fairy, okay? And what we have here is we have this guy named Anton, and he is drinking himself silly when he is like approached by this green fairy, right? So we know the green fairy is the name of absinthe, okay, which is also what he's drinking. So he could be hallucinating this, who knows? But basically, she's kind of recounting the story of what happened to him. He is an artist who came to Paris to flourish, but it wasn't happening. He was flat broke, starving artist, if you will, until he came across this person who was pretty wealthy and wanted to hire Anton to do some art pieces. But later on, Anton found out that this person had basically stolen his art. He had put his name on it and was selling it as his own. And this man put a lot of work into the pieces that he was doing, and he was paid barely anything for it. So when he found this out, the rich guy had stolen the artwork and fled. But he found the guy and he challenged him to a duel. But he lost the duel and he ended up wounded, and so he ended up just drinking his sorrows away until he met a courtesan called Suzanne Valadon. And Suzanne kind of brought new life into him. He kind of fell in love with her, and she was his muse, his inspiration. And he started painting new works of art that everyone was, just falling head over heels for. Okay, um, but then he found out that this girl, Suzanne, was someone who performed dark rituals, and she kind of talked him into doing this in order to achieve fame. And it works because she then becomes his manager and she's selling off his artwork and they are making tons of money, but he is a hollow shell of a man. He's depressed. He can barely even want to talk to people. He doesn't want to be around people. He just wants to sit there and drink. And he wants to be alone. Okay. Um, Finally, he goes to her and he's like, I can't live like this anymore. Like, you're bleeding me dry. I know that you brought me into this and gave me inspiration to create this artwork and everything, but this isn't working anymore. I hate my life. I hate everything that's going on here. But she hits him with the realization, like, do you think that, what did you think was coming from a duel to the death? Have you noticed that no one has spoken to you since that terrible night? Apparently, the whole time he was dead, and she was basically using his soul to create these masterpieces in order for her to gain her riches. And then he's hit with that realization that his soul is trapped with her forever, and he died during that duel. Yeah, it's kind of awesome. Um, this one is a funny one here. We have Cousin Eek's Eeky Education, and basically it's just talking about men and women since the birth of time, and the monsters that prey on them. So it's like since the beginning of time, creatures of the night have shown a vigorous appreciation of the female form. Cave paintings by early man prove that not even a smelly bearskin could repel unwanted advances by a horrific apparition. If you were an attractive sleeping female during Edwardian times, you were likely to be accosted by a vampire, while males were more likely to have to contend with attacks by slightly hairier and toothier opponents. So basically, they're saying that the women were attacked by vampires and men were attacked by werewolves. Some of these monsters even rose from the murky depths, selecting their victims carefully while showing impeccable taste in retro ladies' lingerie. These days, we have a far less discriminating parasite feeding off both sexes, the common divorce lawyer. So there's a lawyer joke for you that he was the monster feeding off of men and women these days. In this book, Sick Joke is my favorite story. Um, I want to give a little bit of a warning here that there's some language in this book that I don't really approve of. But we will see that when we get to it. But basically, what we have here is we have a man and woman driving through the swamp, and they come across this, you know, hot swamp girl, which apparently is a thing that happens all the time. But I just love the dynamic between this man and this woman here, because the woman is like, "Oh, look, Bruce, here's some jail bait for you to leer at, like one of your students, right?" So of course, Bruce here is like, "For Christ's sake, Patricia, can't you let it go? That affair was months ago. We went on this road trip to repair a relationship. Remember, you Cal, like the hatred that he gives for his wife that he's trying to fix their relationship with and everything is just, I don't know, I find it hilarious. But basically, this cute swamp girl is like, hey, I need a ride home, and the wife here is like, oh sure, hop in. We'll give you a ride, but we also need a place to stay for the night. And she says, "Oh, well, if you guys give me a ride, you can stay at my place for free." And of course, the wife is like, "That's an offer my husband can't resist. If there's something he loves more than young girls, it's saving money." And of course, Bruce is like, "For God's sakes, Patricia, give it a rest, you fucking bitch." Anyway, um, so they pull up to the house here, and you can see that this is this girl's relatives, right? And she's bringing the couple up to them, and she's asking her relatives to be nice, right? But the thing is that this guy, of course, he's making a comment as he's walking up there, and he's like, I've had better receptions at parole hearings. Of course, now though, the wife is trying to like talk him down um, from talking like that or whatever. So she says, can you please be nice to these folks, not like last time? And this guy just hauls off and punches the husband straight in the mouth. So the husband gets back in the car with his wife and they drive off while the girl's like, wait, please don't go. Okay. They pull up to a hotel and they decide, they're going to get a night's sleep. And the wife asks her husband, like, "Hey, does your jaw hurt or whatever?" And he goes, "No, it's just my pride. This dumb hick sucker punched me. If I had the chance, I'd have showed him." And she's like, "Oh yeah, sure, you're my hero." What a way to fucking. Now I get it. This guy like treated her wrong or whatever, cheating on her, but like, was that also from the belittlement that he goes through? I don't know. This couple is they should probably shouldn't be together really. But hours later he wakes up and he is now tied up in this dungeon by the people, the one girl's family from earlier, and he doesn't know what's going on here. And he's like, "Where's my wife? What did you guys do to her?" And these guys are like, "Okay, are you ready?" So they start pumping him full of moonshine, saying that it's going to dull the pain. And this guy takes a hot poker and puts it right to his chest, and he's like, "Yeah, that won't. There's nothing that can dull the pain of a hot poker to the chest." He doesn't know what's going on. He's just like, I get it. Hold on. You guys are making like illegal moonshine. I promise you, we won't say anything if you just let us go. Suddenly, the wife comes out, and he's just like, Patricia, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Because Patricia's like walking over to him, but she's not saying anything. And then suddenly they pull the mask off of the Swamp Girl's head. So apparently they skinned his wife and took her head and made a mask out of, right, for the girl. So Patricia is dead now. The little girl here seems sad about that. But later on, she frees Bruce and she's like, come on, we've got to get out of here. I guess she's feeling bad about, whatever happened. She takes him out of whatever secret passage, gets him out of this dungeon, and they start running through the swamp. She takes him to another relative who lives in his trailer. And uh, she kind of lies to her uncle here, about who this guy is. But they invite him in and they're having dinner and everything. And this guy is just like, he just had a hot poker, put on his chest or whatever. So he's probably not feeling great. And he just wanders off like getting sick. Um, the uncle then calls or makes a call to someone talking about them saying that they're at his trailer. Um, she is giving him more moonshine, hopefully to, I guess, try to help dull the pain. But she pulls him into the bedroom and, of course, makes her move. A little while later, there's a knock on the door where they're at, and it is the uncle telling them to pack their things because they're coming with him. And he starts driving them to the police. Right? Apparently, he had called the police on this guy, and they said that they were wanted by the police. So this guy, Bruce, and the Swamp Girl, Bruce is like, "Hey, let me do all the talking. I can handle this." And they go in to talk to this sheriff, and the sheriff is like, "Not you again, Moonshine. This is the third time this month I've seen you." And she's like, "Don't listen to him, Bruce. He's making it all up." And the way that she's laughing, it seems that like they're taking this very lightly, considering all of the horrible stuff that has happened. But he's like, "You don't give me no lip, girl. Does your family know that you're hanging out with some right?" Again, I told you guys there's language I don't agree with. That is a word I do not agree with, so I will not be saying it, and I will be blocking it out of this video. Um, but Bruce is like, "Hey, well, I'm going to do something to distract this sheriff, and you make a phone call to this person." For me, and he can help save us. So Bruce goes over to this sheriff, and he's like, damn right that I'm, again, more of the language here, you big bear, give us a kiss, right? So he's doing that, to distract this sheriff. And I guess when the sheriff wasn't looking, he just clocks him one, right? So this girl calls up for Rex Meskin investigations, right? The sheriff takes him down into the jail cell and throws him in and tells the men in there to be rough with him. Okay. When the sheriff comes back up, he sees that Swamp Girl was on the phone with someone and slaps that phone straight out of her hand. Um, then we are at the offices of Rex Meskin. And Rex is like, that was the strangest call I ever had. I get this call. It seems that my friend Bruce is in serious trouble, so I'm going to grab my stuff and take a drive down here and see if I can't find him and help him out. Right. Um, Meanwhile, the another officer comes in, and apparently the sheriff and Swamp Girl are getting it on the whole time, right? And this guy comes in saying, "Hey, we've had like a jailbreak here. They're all gone." So they go downstairs, and the sheriff is like, "God damn it! I must have left this gate open because again, he's a great sheriff. You could tell, right?" Um, Now we're with the escapees, right? They're in the middle of the swamp, and they're like, we just got out of the frying pan. But now we're in the fire because these crocodiles are everywhere, right? And they're thinking about going back when suddenly the crocodiles attack and take out the other two prisoners, right? And Bruce is running, but he gets attacked right at the last second. But here comes Rex Meskin, right? And he's got his gun, so he takes out this crocodile, saving Bruce at the last second, right? And then he takes Bruce to the emergency room. And now we have Bruce laying on his bed here, right, with his leg all bandaged up, and you have two figures come in, and Bruce is like, "Where am I? Who are you?" And the two figures are like, "You're tied to a bed in a shack, and we're weird Hannibal cannibals, or I'm sorry, hillbilly cannibals. Yeah, and we're gonna stick things in your butt, right?" And Bruce here starts flipping out, right? Screaming, no, no. And then nurses come in, hold him down, and they're like, he's going insane. And he's like, get away or I'll fucking kill you. And the doctors are like, oh, what? I'm sorry, man. It was just an old joke, right? So yeah, this guy's been through this like horrible trauma. I guess they didn't know, but I've never seen a doctor go into an office and make a hillbilly joke about shoving things up your butt. But I did enjoy this story like 100%. This story was off the wall. There were twists and turns I never saw coming. Kept me guessing the whole time, and I thoroughly loved it. Also, I would like to say before I move any further here, the artwork in this book is awesome. I love the stuff by Jason Palos and Dan Cox, right? This is great. This is like so far up my alley of what I love for artwork, right? Now we are at the last story called False Alarm. Okay, and basically what we have here is we have an old Englishman living in the United States, out in a rural area, right? And he's all alone. There's apparently no neighbors or anything like that, and he's desperate for any kind of human interaction. So what does he do? He calls a false alarm in to emergency services just to get them out to have a cup of tea. And they get a little pissed off at him, but they're like, don't do this again. And they leave. Then he climbs up to a tree and calls them again to be like, hey, I'm stuck up in this tree and I need you guys to get me out. And when they show up, he's like, oh, no, no, I'm not really stuck. Again, I was just lonely and I wanted to hang out with you guys. And the police are like, don't ever do this again. You're wasting our time. There's a reason we're called emergency services. And they storm off. So now, again, he's a little, lonely and he thinks, okay, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to contact these guys. So he gives a call and the operator is like, this is the emergency services. How can I help you? And this old Englishman, Arthur, he's like, yeah, I was wondering if you guys can come out. And they're like, stop right there, buddy. We're not doing this again. The last time you called us during one of your false alarms, we had an entire school burned down. And they show a picture of the firemen and the police officers at this school. And they're just like, oh my God, all those innocent lives taken away. And if only we had got here quicker, we could have saved them. And it was all because of that guy doing a false alarm. Now, we do know that, in reality, this guy probably would have been charged for doing these false alarms. But in the context of this story, I'm letting it go because, again, you don't know where this is going, right? But the officer's like, I'm going to kill that time wasting fuck. And they're like, okay, okay, pull it back, So they told him and asked him if he's satisfied now that he's, killed children. Okay. And Arthur Atkins ends up going to bed. And when he goes to bed, he's suddenly awakened by a noise outside. And when he goes and takes a look, we see that there's a flying saucer above his house. But instead of being afraid, like most people would be, Arthur Atkins is like, hell yeah, somebody to fucking talk to. I can't wait to go out there and make a new friend. So he grabs his blanket and he runs out there and he's like, hello, I wish you no harm. I hope you mean the same, my friend. And of course, the alien's like, nah, fuck you, buddy, and shoots a laser at him. So he's like, oh, okay, never mind. I guess you're not friendly. So he runs back in, and of course, he calls for the police to come out to save him. He's like, hey, you got to get out here. Somebody's trying to kill me, right? And of course, the operator is just like, oh, yeah, we're not doing this again. We've already told you we're not going to fall for any of your false alarms anymore. You've done this, too much. And Arthur's like, but I'm telling the truth this time. I really, really need your help. And they're just like, yeah, whatever. So they hang up on him. And this alien grabs him up and pulls him straight out, I guess, to take him into his saucer. And I guess we have another story where things are getting, inserted into somebody's butt. Maybe that's a thing that these writers enjoyed in their comics. But then we're left with this, and the moral of this one, readers, cry wolf too many times and it's likely to come back and bite you in the arse. Okay? Which is exactly what happened to Arthur Atkins. We have some cool comics here, Vampire Macabre. I have not seen these, but I'm going to try to find them. I do have a vampire book that I got from Asylum Press, and it was just one issue, and I did a video of it like a year or so ago. But it was pretty cool. So, guys, that was EEK #1, which I think is just a one shot. They released this one issue, and that was it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do me the favor of hitting like. And if you want to see more like this, hit subscribe. But if you hit like, it helps my channel grow, and I'm trying to build an audience for an upcoming project that I'm working on, which is my character Ghost Girl. So again, I appreciate it if you do that. Guys, I want to thank you for watching, and until next time.